All right, friends, what was the homework? What page?
29.
2930. Sounds like a plan. So, hey, thank you. Let's take a look at 2930 if you don't mind. What kind of questions might you have come across?
Yes. Number 2, please.
Number 2, you got it.
2.
Number 2, page 29. Love it. Okay, here we go. So remember, we're factoring by grouping. So I have this and this in common. So I pull that out of both. I get rid of x plus 3, then I'm left x squared and then minus 4. And it's done. If you get to that point, awesome. Now I will tell you this in a little bit. We'll start factoring down. It's called the difference of two squares. Okay? So if you get to this point right now, for this moment, you're good. This does come down a little bit further to give me this, x plus 2 and x minus 2. But if you get to this point right now, you're good. Okay? What other questions on page 2930? Yeah.
Can you do 15?
15. Number 15. 6xy plus 12y plus 18x plus 36. That one, correct? No. Yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have 4 terms. Everyone's okay with that? I'm going to go ahead and break this up into, I have these terms here, and then I have these terms here. Is that okay so far? Yes. So what does it, that first one in yellow, can I take a 6 out of both? Yeah. Is 6 the biggest number that goes into both 6 and 12?
Yes.
Yeah. Can I also take a y out?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a 6y out. And then what do I have left here if I remove a 6y? X. And then that plus comes down. If I remove a 6y from there, what do I have left?
12.
6 times what is? It's 2. Okay? Agree so far? See that okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay? Then we're going to look at this part. So that plus sign's coming down. What is the largest number I can take out of both of those? 6, I agree, but I bet you can go bigger. 18, yeah. So an 18 definitely can come out, and that would leave me x plus 2. If you just took the 6 out, this would not match this, and we're trying to get these two to match. Okay? So now, what do I have in common between these two terms? What do I have in common? X plus 2. And if I factor an x plus 2 out, I get a 6y. And then I get a plus 18. If you get to this point on this problem, you're totally fine. What other questions might you have come across? Hey! Gotta go grab that real quick. You can just chill them back up with your ear.
We're taking the current.
Hey, did I get cut?
That's the one.
Good job.
That's what he said. So on the yellow, calculate, and the white.
Mr. Stirrup, you know how Elizabeth wasn't here yesterday?
What?
Okay, can you tell Elizabeth about the boy toy?
What boy toy?
Our boy toy.
Oh, our.
Tell
The
them.
really cute one. The senior.
The Hispanic thing?
The one who plays baseball.
Yeah.
Like kind of facial in the dark.
Yeah.
Brown.
Yeah. Tell her.
Tell her.
You got it.
Oh.
All right.
Just go watch the video.
Other questions that we might have on the homework.
Show us ads on the video. Just go watch the video.
Anything else? We're good? Yeah.
I have a question.
Talk to me.
What happened?
No.
Every day
Just serve it.
he comes in front of the camera and waves. And then one day he pulled up his shirt and he was like 6-pack ab.
For us.
Oh
didn't
my
do-
god.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't for you guys.
Was it for you?
Is he gonna come in today and do it?
I don't know. Why he doesn't come into the art classroom?
Yeah, I have third
During
period.
his period? Oh, so what? During what video is it?
Stop.
Accelerated Algebra 2, probably the second or third video this semester. Any other questions? We're good? All right, if you would, make sure your name is on that assignment, please, and pass that on forward.
I'm sorry, it wasn't
Wait, he's a senior?
What is that?
He's a junior.
Junior.
Don't know idea. I'm sorry that he. I like you so much.
Everyone's doing well today, I hope? Good. Good day. Good day. It is a good day. So I'd like to were you able to get yesterday's book?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, sweet, good job.
But I think you took my packet.
Sophia,
But I have like a ton of
Mr. Sterling.
Is it ready for me?
Yeah.
Sweet. Make sure you
I think you took my
I'm
packet.
running out.
Oh shoot, open there. I'm so sorry.
One to 10.
No, I just put it in.
oh yeah, he kind of did. It's like, orange and black.
There it is. Cool. Sorry about that.
So,
Didn't mean to goof that.
7.5.
So I need to tell you all. Thursday next week, so 1 week from tomorrow, we have a talent show going on here at school, and my band's performing. We got 2 songs, so it should be pretty fun. I strongly encourage you to come to that. If you don't make it to the talent show on Thursday night next week, I would strongly encourage you not to think your friend who leaves campus and doesn't want to do school-wide activities is the right thing to do, because I'll tell you what, our gym is going to rock like no other. People are going to be like, dude, are you kidding? Your high school did that. It's going to be that intense.
Wait, is it like after school?
No, our assembly Friday next week. So 8 days from now, 9 days from now.
Who's hosting?
Well, it's for our Power Week, which is we raise money for Bags of Fun, which is our backpacks for kids that are hospitalized. It has some games and little coloring books and stuff like that for them. So I mean, most of you probably have never been hospitalized. I hope none of you have to deal with that. But I can tell you as a parent, if you have if either of my kids was hospitalized, I think that these Bags of Fun would bring a little bit of peace and lower the anxiety of your child quite a bit. And if your peace and anxiety of your child's lowered, I can tell you the peace and anxiety of parents is lowered. So it's a really good thing. But I would just say it's gonna be fun. So, and we love performing. We have some really good musicians that are in my band. And then you got this village idiot right here as the singer. So let you be there. What time is the assembly?
Yeah.
The assembly will happen after 3rd period, a week from Friday. So you go to 1st and 2nd period, or no, you go to 1st and 2nd period, and then you go to the assembly. Yeah. You don't go to,
So will it be excused if you...
yeah. So it's a shortened schedule. So like period 1 would rather be in 40 whatever minutes long. It might be like 35 minutes long. And the 2nd period, same thing. Then you go to the assembly, which is about an hour, maybe a smidge longer. And then the rest of your classes are all still short. Yeah.
Are you guys allowed to pass the odds or anything?
He doesn't know what that means.
Give me some help.
The auxiliary cord.
Oh, you want to plug in?
Yeah. And then I can play music off my phone and then you can sing.
We don't need that. I got
Kiss.
I can
play anything.
I have a bass player who plays a mean fourth
string.
string. As far as a math teacher go, he's really good. I got a 6-string player, so on electric guitar, that's Mr. Matischek. He is an unbelievable guitar player. On drums, I have Mr. Peterson, who's a math teacher.
Oh, I haven't.
He rips. He rips. I have Mr. Libby on trumpet. Anyone who's in orchestra could tell you flat out going, dude, he's butter. He's amazing on trumpet. I have Mr. Mimak, who's another math teacher on saxophone. He's an unbelievable saxophone player. And then you got me. Sounds like a cow being slaughtered when I sing. But hey,
Do you have a
it's
good
fun.
voice?
Let you be the judge of it.
Can you give us a sample?
You hear me talk every day, don't you?
Yeah, give me a sample of when
Will you
you're
sing
singing.
a tune for us right now?
Oh, did you see Bohemian Rhapsody? You saw that movie? You saw it's so
All right. Well, one of those songs we're doing.
You are which
Yeah.
one?
Well, let's see if you guys can do this. Ready? Ready? Feet flat on the floor. Ready?
Oh,
So match this beat. Ready? Keep it going. Keep it going. Just imagine the entire gym doing this. Can you see it?
Yeah.
And we'll start out with, buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place, singing. There you go.
Wow, you sound just like him.
And there's 2 more verses to that. But mic me up and I push out really loud. So, all right, let's play math. Let's play math. So we've seen these before, yes?
yeah.
So I'm just gonna peruse through them pretty quickly. So this would give me x squared plus 7x plus 12. So what we're gonna start doing today is we're gonna go from this back to this. Okay? And then any of these that I work out, remember we're just double foiling or double distributing. So I'd get 6x squared plus 3x plus 10x plus 5, combine like terms, so you'd wind up with 6x squared plus 13x plus 5. And again, we're going to go from this back to this. And it's the same on all of these. These are just kind of warm-ups. I think you're okay with double distributing, yes?
Yeah.
How'd you like that first verse? There's 2 more verses to it.
What? Who said that?
I loved it. Can I?
I'll let you.
Heck yeah.
Oh my god.
And then,
That'd be
so
so
the
fun.
very last four We Will Rock Yous, because you have a verse, two We Will Rock Yous, a verse, 2 We Will Rock Yous.
That's a cold
Last
book.
verse, 4 We Will Rock Yous. So on We Will Rock You, We Will Rock You. On the third one, you're going to hear a hard A start coming over the guitars. And he's got a pedal, he pedals it, gets louder, and then on the very last, We Will Rock You, as we say rock, he goes, and he goes this huge guitar solo. You're going to be amazed how good Mr. Matischek is on guitar. You'd be like, it's good. But then we'll do Soul Man as well. That's a fun song that even if you don't know it, I think you'll appreciate it. All right, so this is our goal today. Now, before we get into the next slide, if you trust me, I can indeed get you through this, but you have to be able to use a little bit of thought process. Got it? The nice thing is the process I'm going to show you is the process we can use over and over and over again. It's the exact same thing over and over and over again. As we go through and teach you how to factor, I will use the same verbiage for every time we see it. Is that okay? All right, now there's going to be a lot on this next screen. Don't let it frighten you. So, we have an equation, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c will represent numbers. Now we're going to start out where our a value is 1, so you just have x squared, okay? we're going to go through by grouping, which is we multiply the A and the C value. What factors of A and C sum up to B? Okay, watch your signs, create your 4 terms, factor by grouping. You're like, wait, it's just writing. We haven't done anything yet. There's another way that we will, on about the 3rd and 4th day, we'll start introducing the logic. Now, not everyone's going to grab the logic method of doing it, which is okay. There's nothing that will take away from you mathematically if you can't do the logic way. But there's 2 ways of factoring. There's actually a whole bunch of different ways of doing it. The grouping is probably the best method I have seen for Algebra 1. And it'll apply all the way through all the rest of your math classes if you know how to do it. Okay? Can I move on? So don't let this frighten you. These will be numbers eventually. And the A value will normally be, we'll start out with it being 1, where we'll just have something as x squared. And you'll see that on the next slide. So on the next slide, notice I have x squared plus 10x plus 21. Agreed? Now notice right below it, to the right, I have 1x squared plus 10x plus 21. These are the exact same thing. This I'm just showing you. You have a lead coefficient in front of x squared, which is called your quadratic term. That is a 1. Is that okay? All right, so let's start breaking this down. And this will be done the same way every time. So we're going to take the 1 here and the 21, and we're going to multiply them together. And that gives me a 21. Does everyone feel okay about that little jump? So my lead coefficient in front of x squared is a 1. I take my lead coefficient, my A value, and I multiply it times my constant, my number that doesn't have a letter attached to it, which in this case is 21. So I go 1 times 21, and that gives me 21. Cool? Then we have to think about the factors of 10. Okay, I know that 1 times 21 gives me, if I multiply them, I get 21. But I also know that 3 times 7 also gives me 21 when I multiply it. Do you agree with that? So we're going to think about how could we sum up either 1 and 21 or 3 and 10. Which of those, if I add them up, I sum them up, I combine them together, will give me my B value, which is 10. Does the 1 and 21 work? If I add 1 and 21, what do I get?
21.
Good, I got 22, but good for trying. Okay, is 22 is 22 the same thing as 10? No. What do I get when I add 3 and 7 together?
10.
10. Good, you redeemed yourself. Okay, so notice this. See this 10 right here? If I use those 2 factors to get to 10, it's going to work out real nicely for me. Okay, so let me ask you this. How far is this from this or this? What do we have right here? 10x, right? So all I did is I just split this. I had to figure out how to split it. That multiply to give me 21, but add to give me 10. So 7x and 3x added together gives me 10x. Okay, and then 7 times 3 gives me 21. Does that seem okay so far? So all this next step is doing is this. I'm going to look at my first 2 terms, and that's going to result in that. I looked for my greatest common factor between my first 2 terms and factored out my greatest common factor. In this case, it was an x. And then I looked at my last 2 terms, include that sign, and I got this. And that's what we were doing last night, right? We were going from 4 terms down to the yellow and bluish. And then we factor out, hey, what do we have in common between these, both these right here? Well, I have this, and I have this. So that's here. And then what do I have left? Oh, well, I have this, and then this left, and that, put them back together to give me that. So this is the factored form of this. Okay? It's kind of heavy. It's a little different than you've thought about before. Okay? It's okay if it's kind of goofing with your mind a little bit. So the thing is if I were to multiply this all back together, this would give me x squared plus 3x plus 7x plus 21. If I combine that back together, I get this. So those two binomials, x plus 7 and x plus 2, when multiplied together, those two binomials are the factored version of my original. Okay? Yeah.
Okay, so it goes from x plus 7 to x plus 3, right? Where did the two 7s go? Why is there only one 7 now?
Because right now, this right here is one term. This right here is one term. So I have two terms. This right here, these are four terms. Because when I group it together, I go from four terms, take the information, go to two terms, then I look at the two terms, say what can I factor out? I have an x plus 7 on both of those terms, and then I have x plus 3 left.
But why wouldn't you just combine 7x and 3x if they're like terms?
Well, we're trying to break it apart to give it the two binomials. What did we multiply to get there? It's like if I was talking about just say the number 10, which is not being up here, I'd say, hey, what two numbers can you multiply together to get to 10? You could probably say 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Okay? We're doing the same thing, but we're saying, hey, we're taking this whole group thing and this whole group thing, and we're multiplying them together, and we get this x squared plus blank x plus blank. How do I undo that ax squared plus bx plus c? How do I undo it to the two things I multiplied together to get there? So you're like reverse engineering your math problems.
So essentially you're just like taking it apart.
Oliver.
So then would x squared plus 11x plus 36 work?
It could. I don't know. We'd have to break it down. We'll see. Can I move off the screen? I think the next one we're going to start applying it a little bit. Okay? So we're going to go through very slowly. First thing I'm going to do, my lead coefficient is a 1 there. Is that okay? I'm just putting x squared and 1x squared, same thing. Yes? So if you remember on your stuff, we multiplied the last times the first. So 10 times 1 is 10. Okay? And the factors of 10, so 1 times 10 gets me 10, and also 2 times 5 gets me 10. Do you agree? So take a look up there. Is there a way I can add those together to get to positive 7?
2 plus 5.
2 and 5, if I add that together, I get to 7, right? So this right here is how I would get to that. Okay? All right, ready? I'm going to put my x squared, and I'm going to put my plus 10. This is here. This is here. Is that okay? Okay. You just told me that 2 and 5 added together gives me 7. Agreed? Plus 2x plus 5x. If I add 2x and 5x, do I get 7x?
Yes.
How many terms do I have right here right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Then I'm going to look here. What do I have in common between those two? X. That's an x and an x plus 2. Let me just pause there for a minute. Do you agree? If I distributed this x back over, x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Good? Hang on. Now I'm going to look at these two terms. What do I have in common between those two? A 5, and it's a positive. If I factor 5 out of 5x, I'm left with x, plus if I factor 5 out of 10, I'm left with 2. Now I went from 4 terms to 2 terms. What do I have in common between those two terms right there? X plus 2. What do I have left? X plus 5. It's factored. We did it. Yeah.
Okay. Few questions. Where did so with an exponent, if you have it like that, and then you do x times 2, that makes up for the exponent, right? Okay, but I just don't understand where the 10 goes. Like I get 2 times 5.
We're just using that as a guide to get our factors to get the middle term. Hang on, let's see if we can answer a little bit. Number 2, do I have to put a 1 in front of the x squared? No, why not?
It's
There's a 3 already there. Everyone feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
So I had to put a 1 here because we weren't seeing it. But on this one, we're going to do the exact same math. Ready? I'm going to go this times this. What do I get? 15. You okay with that? And it's positive 5 times positive 3 gives me positive 15. The factors of 15 are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Agree? If I go 1 times 15, I get 15. I get 3 times 5, I also get 15. Agree? You might not want to go to the restroom on this yet. Okay. I'm saying, I mean, if you have to go, please do, but you might want to hold off. Which of those factors, 1 and 15 or 3 and 5, add up to 16? 1 and 15. Is there anyone that's like, I don't get that? So if I add these together, I get 16. Agree? So this 3x squared comes right here. This 5 comes right here. And then I'm going to put plus 1x plus 15x plus that 5, because that was a positive 5. So if I were to add those back together, do I get to the 16? I do. Okay? So I took those 3 terms and I broke it into 4 terms. Okay? I multiplied the first and the last number together and figured out the factors of that to work. Okay? What do I have in common between those two right there? X. If I factor an x out, what do I have left? 3x plus 1. Agree? Note that sign. The sign has to come down as well. What can I factor out of these? 5. If I factor a 5 out of 15, I get to 3x. If I factor a 5 out of 15x, I get to 3x. Plus, what's a placeholder if I factor a 5 out of 5?
1.
Do I have the same terms? So what's my answer? There you go. 3x plus 1 and x plus 5. It's done. It's going to be done the exact same way, over and over. And I'm not done teaching. I just have a lot to this. Yeah.
Okay, wait. So are we learning something new out of this, or is this just like we're going step by step?
This is a brand new process. Okay? Now, this is where you will see this. X squared, when you have x squared, it forms something called a parabola. Parabola does this. Follow my finger. That's a parabola. Or it does this. Okay? So it either opens up or down. What we're actually doing when we get the factors, we're finding out where it crosses the x-axis.
Oh, so we're gonna graph it.
We will be eventually graphing it. Not for days, maybe even weeks. Okay? Hurry back. Can I move on? Yeah.
Okay, I get the 3x plus 1 and where that comes from because they're 2 like terms. But how? Oh my god.
What do you have left? That's it.
Okay.
So you saw this?
I get it now.
You have this left, right?
I get it now.
Cool.
Oh.
Alright. Alright. Okay. So, watch the negative signs. So we're going to start changing some of the signs in there a little bit. Okay, so we have to be aware, not everything is going to be x plus a number and x plus a number. Okay, we can have x plus and x minus. We can have x plus and x minus and plus and minus and minus. Okay, so in our things, when we break them down, and these are just, we could have both being plus, we could have one being plus minus or minus plus or minus minus. Okay, so that's why we want you to watch out for those signs, okay? And it's going to be the exact same process that we're going to start walking through these. Okay, ready? Okay, so notice I have x squared minus bx plus c. So there could be a minus sign there. Okay, so you have to start thinking about these, and I'm actually going to move off the screen to the next one, and we're going to get there. So first thing I'm going to do to this problem, I'm going to put a 1 right there. 1x squared. Is that okay? I don't always have to put a number there because there's sometimes a number that's in place. So I'm going to multiply these together. 12 times 1 gives me 12. Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Now, this is where you need to start watching your signs. Can I multiply a positive and a positive together to get a positive number? Can I multiply a negative and a negative together to get a negative number?
No.
Negative times negative is positive. And if I multiply positive and positive, my answer is positive. If I multiply positive and negative, my answer is negative. Negative and positive, my answer is negative. And negative, my answer is positive. Okay? So we got to keep that in mind. So, let's list the factors of 12 first. So I know that 1 times 12 gives me 12. Agree? What else gives me 12? 2 and 6. Everyone agree that 2 times 6 is 12?
Yeah.
Is there one last one that would work? 4 and 3. Okay, 3 times 4 gives me 12. Does everyone agree?
Yes.
Okay. Is that last number a positive or a negative 12? Positive. So that means that my two terms have to be the exact same sign. They can both be positive or they can both be negative. What do you think they would be by looking at the negative 7? What do you think they both should be?
Negative.
Both negative? Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Agree?
Yes.
Is negative 3 added to negative 4 negative 7? So both of my signs here have to be negative. They both have to be negative. Okay? All right, so this x squared comes right here. This positive 12 comes right here. Is that okay so far? Now I'm going to put in the center, I'm going to put minus 3x minus 4x. If I combine those together, do I get negative 7x?
Yes.
I sure do. So I took my 3 terms and I broke it into 4 terms. I'm going to underline here. What do I have in common between those two? And then what do I have left? It's minus 3. What's the sign right here? Negative. That's going to come here. So what do I have in common? What am I factoring out of both of those? 4. Negative 4, actually. Okay, if I factor a negative 4 out, if I factor a negative 4 out of negative 4x, I'm left with x. If I factor a negative 4 out of positive 12, I get negative 3. Now, let me pause here. I'm just going to cover that for a sec. Is negative 4 times x negative 4x? Is negative 4 times negative 3 positive 12? See how that just worked? What's my answer? X minus 3, x minus 4. Done. It works this way every time, my friends. Every time. Okay? Ready to walk through one more? Do I have to put a 1 out front? No. Why not? I have a 2. Does everyone feel comfortable that I don't have to put a 1 out there because I got a 2? Anyone stuck on that? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this and this together. I'm going to get what? 20. Everyone okay with that? So let's think of the factors of 20. 1 and 20, and you're starting to see it quick. 2 and 10, and 5 and 4. Does everyone agree with those? If I multiply those together, I will get 20 all day long. Now, I have this being a positive sign. That means if I multiply two numbers together, they had to both be positive or they both had to be negative. By logic, what do you think it should be? Both negative, absolutely. And you're going to see why here in a sec. Now, which of these, both being negative, when I combine them together, gives me negative 9? 5 and 4. Good. Okay, if these were both negative, that gives me negative 21. If these are both negative, that gives me negative 12. If these are both negative, it gives me negative 9. So the 2x comes right, 2x squared comes here. The positive 10 comes right here. I'm going to put, oops, wrong way. I'm going to put minus 4x minus 5x. If I combine negative 4x and negative 5x together, what do I get?
Positive.
If I just add them. Some costs $4, some costs $5. How much do I owe? $9, so negative 9x. Okay? We're going to do this now. What do I have in common between those? X and I heard it, 2. 2 and an x. So if I factor a 2x out of 2x squared, what do I have left? X. That minus sign comes down. What's that?
4.
Close. I factored a 2x out though. 2. Good. I'm going to factor out a negative here. What can I factor out of both? It's a negative what? 2 doesn't go to 5. I'm going to factor out negative 5. So a negative 5 factor out of negative 5x is positive x. A negative 5 factored out of negative 10 gives me a negative 2. Now let's just double check this. Is negative 5 times x negative 5x? It's negative 5 times negative 2, positive 10.
Yes.
What do I have in common? Say it. Go ahead.
X minus 2.
And?
2x minus 5.
Perfect. Your factor. It's the toughest part of algebra. It's the toughest part because teachers don't know how to teach this. Do you all want to know what this method is actually called?
What?
And I kid you not. This method was developed in the 1940s. Okay? And if you go back to a textbook far enough back, this is called the Cherry Creek method. Cherry Creek High School was created in 1955. So 15 years before this school was created, the Cherry Creek method, this, was developed. I kid you not. There's your little historical fact for
Wait,
you.
is it because Creek was the first school to teach it?
Nope. Just whoever developed it lived probably close to something called a Cherry Creek. Not this Cherry Creek, but somewhere in the world. They called it the Cherry Creek method.
Cherry Creek High School.
A lot of schools won't teach this way because they don't like the fact that this is referred to as the Cherry Creek method. They think that we are claiming it's ours. No, it was just how we named. It was named 15 years before our school was even made. Okay, this was all farmland way back then.
So they don't teach their students it?
A lot of people are like, oh, we're not going to teach that way. We're going to teach another way. There's the diamond method and the box method, which are just, in my opinion, horrible.
Yeah,
It's like when you guys learned lattice multiplication. Yeah, it's like, you know, you're kicking your dog 3 times and saying I'm petting them. It's that bad. All right, let's see what we got. Any more to move on? Oh, hang on. Okay. So can I have you guys for 2 minutes left? There's a 1 there, yes?
Yes.
If I multiply this and this, what do I get? Be careful, watch your signs. What? Yes, negative 12. Awesome. Now, I need you to think about your multiplication skills. When I multiply 2 numbers together, how do I get to a negative number by multiplying? One's positive, one's negative. Everyone agree? Cool. All right. So I'm going to figure out the factors of 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. One of them has to be positive, one has to be negative. Now we have to think, which one has to be positive, which one has to be negative to get me that negative 1x. What do you think? The 3 is what? Positive. The 4 is negative. Is positive 3 added to negative 4, negative 1x? Good? So these signs are going to stay with us. So I'm going to bring the x squared down. And I'm going to bring the negative 12 down. Okay? And then in here, I'm going to put plus 3x minus 4x. So if I go positive 3x minus 4x, do I get to negative 1x, which is negative x? Yes. All right? What do I have in common here? X, and that's x plus 3. Agreed? This sign out here is negative. It's going to come down here. What can I factor out of both of those? 4. That leaves me x plus 3. Now let's make sure this is right. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times positive 3, negative 12. Agreed? What's my answer?
X plus 3.
Uh-huh.
X minus
Minus 4. It's done the same way over and over. Guys and girls, I would like, so page 31, 32 is the homework, right? So I know I didn't get all the way through here, but that's okay. So page 31, 32. And let's do, every other even. Okay, so now you're going to be like, what does that mean? Well, you do 2, skip 4. Do 6, skip 8. Do 10, skip 12, etc. Okay, so it gives you 1, 2,
Yeah, look at Jacob.
2, 3, 4, 5. Gives you 5 problems to try. 5 problems. Hey, will you give me your word that you will try those 5 problems I gave you? If you do every other even, if you try them, I promise I'll get you through this stuff.